We now move on to the string family. As you can guess, the string stops are so called because, to a greater or lesser extent, they resemble the sound of string instruments. On this organ, we have the luxury of several string stops. The loudest one is the one on the grate, the gamba, which is so called because it is said to resemble the instrument, the viola da gamba, which was an early precursor of the cello. So you see this is quite a grainy sound, and you can see why it's called after a stringed instrument, because it has a similar grainy quality that you might have on a string instrument. To contrast that with a flute and with a diapason. So you see those three 8-foot stops, although they're all the same pitch, they belong to three different families and have very, very different qualities. We also have string stops on the swell. Here we have the solitional, very common string stop on the swell of many organs. It's quite quiet, but very stringy, very edgy. One of the special stops, which has a particularly distinctive and interesting sonority, is what's usually called the voix celeste. Sometimes it's called Vox Angelica. And this is a stop on the swell which is constructed in an almost identical way to the solitional, but the difference is that it's ever so slightly out of tune with the solitional. Hence it produces this celestial voice or angelic voice when it's combined with the solitional. You don't want to use this stop on its own because, of course, it's out of tune. And when you listen to it on its own, it's out of tune. Listen to the solitional on its own. But if you combine them together, the solitional and the voix celeste, you get this wonderful undulating effect. It's a rich, bright, shimmering sound, very effective, especially in romantic music. So the last string stop we have here on this organ is on the choir, and it's called Dulciana. This is a slightly unusual one because it occupies a halfway point between a very quiet open diapason and a string stop. Some Dulcianas are very stringy in character. Some of them sound like really tiny open diapasons. The reason for that is that the Dulciana is like an open diapason pipe, but very, very narrow. This one sounds like this. Now let's compare that with the open diapason. So it's almost like a very gentle open diapason, although it does have a slightly stringy character, and in terms of its volume, it's quite similar in volume and in character to the solitional on the swell that we've already heard. Let's compare those two. So here's the Dulciana, and here's the solitional on the swell. Quite similar, but the solitional is just a little bit stringier than the Dulciana.